Welcome to 101 Interesting Facts About American Cuisine. A deep dive into the delicious, the quirky, and the downright surprising. Buckle up because we're about to take your taste buds on a wild ride through the flavors of America. Whether you're a foodie or just curious, you're in for a treat. 1. Did you know that the United States eats 350 slices of pizza per second? Yes, you heard that right. Every single. 2nd. Imagine what happens during the Super Bowl, probably closer to 1,000 slices a second. 2. The official state vegetable of Oklahoma is, drumroll, the watermelon. Wait, what? You thought watermelon was a fruit, right? Well, Oklahomans think otherwise, and who's going to argue when it tastes that good at a summer BBQ? And speaking of fruits, did you know that ketchup was once sold as medicine in the 1830s? People believed it could cure indigestion. Now, I don't know about you, but I'd prefer a doctor's note before prescribing me a ketchup sandwich. 4. The largest pancake ever made in the US weighed over 6,600 pounds. That's enough to feed an entire town, if everyone could agree on whether to top it with maple syrup or butter. 5. French fries might not be as American as apple pie, but America consumes more than any other country, around 30 pounds per person each year. Imagine carrying around 30 pounds of fries. Tempting, right? 6. Speaking of apple pie, it wasn't invented in America, but it's now such a symbol of the country that you could almost call it a national treasure, which, fun fact, was originally brought over by European settlers. Thank you, England. 7. Here's a fun one. Alaska's state fair hosts a cabbage competition, and the winning cabbage often weighs more than 100 pounds. That's a lot of coleslaw. 8. Ever heard of a Jell-O salad? This curious creation of gelatin, veggies, and sometimes even meat was the dish of choice in the 1950s. And no, we're not quite sure why either. 9. Peanut butter is a truly American love affair. In fact, the average American eats around 7 pounds of peanut butter each year. That's a lot of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And here's a fun twist. During World War II, American soldiers were given Hershey's chocolate bars as part of their rations. But these weren't your average chocolate bars. They were designed to taste less enjoyable to prevent the soldiers from overeating them. Ingenious or evil? You decide. 11. The fortune cookie, which you probably associate with Chinese takeout, was actually invented in California. Bet that's one you didn't see coming. 12. The Philly cheesesteak has a mysterious origin story. Legend has it that a hot dog vendor in the 1930s ran out of hot dogs and, out of desperation, threw some thinly sliced beef on a roll instead. The rest is sandwich history. 13. Moving over to the Midwest, Chicago is famous for its deep dish pizza. Some say it's more like a pizza casserole with layers and layers of cheese and sauce. But hey, who's complaining? 14. Let's talk cereal. The world's largest cereal box is proudly American. It stood 9 feet tall and was filled with more than 16,000 servings of cornflakes. Breakfast for champions or for an entire high school. 15. Buffalo wings were first created in Buffalo, New York, and originally, they were served with just hot sauce and celery. But now, the varieties of wing sauces are endless: spicy, sweet, tangy, even bacon-flavored. Now I'm craving wings. 16. In the South, sweet tea is practically a religion. Some families have secret recipes, passed down for generations. But the key is simple: sugar, and a lot of it. And speaking of drinks, did you know that root beer was originally brewed as a medicinal drink by Native Americans? Today, you can find root beer floats everywhere, from classic diners to your own kitchen. 18. The concept of drive-through fast food was born in California, with In-N-Out Burger being one of the first to serve meals directly to your car. Because why get out when you can stay comfy in your car? 19th. Let's not forget donuts. America loves donuts so much that there's a National Donut Day. And believe it or not, the first donut machine was invented in New York City in 1920. It made mass production possible, making every donut lover's dream come true. 20. Speaking of New York, bagels were brought to the US by Jewish immigrants from Poland. Today, New York bagels are considered the gold standard. Is it the water, the dough? New Yorkers would say it's a little bit of both. 21. Pickles are a big deal in the US. In fact, Americans consume over 20 billion pickles a year. The salty, crunchy snack has been around since colonial times and continues to be a favorite on burgers and sandwiches. 22. Mac and cheese is the ultimate comfort food, but did you know that Thomas Jefferson is credited with popularizing it in the United States? He even served it at a state dinner. Fancy, right? 23. The hamburger, one of the most iconic American foods, has its origins in Hamburg, Germany. But when it made its way to the US, Americans took it to the next level by adding cheese, bacon, and, well, everything else we could think of. 24. Americans consume around 50 billion burgers a year. That's enough burgers to circle the earth over 30 times. Imagine all the fries that would go with that. 25. In Texas, everything is bigger, including the steaks. The Big Texan Steak Ranch in Amarillo offers a free 72-ounce steak to anyone who can finish the entire meal. Steak, salad, baked potato, shrimp cocktail, and roll in under an hour. 26. The popular Cobb salad was actually invented in Hollywood. Robert Cobb, owner of the famous Brown Derby restaurant, threw it together one late night from leftovers, and boom, it became a hit. 27. Tex-Mex cuisine is a uniquely American twist on traditional Mexican food. Tacos, nachos, burritos, you name it. But here's the kicker. Burritos and chimichangas aren't native to Mexico. They're pure Tex-Mex creations. 28. On the flip side, Taco Bell sells over 2 billion tacos every year. That's a lot of hot sauce packets. What's your go-to order? 29. The US has some unique state foods. For example, Louisiana's state cuisine is gumbo, a spicy stew with seafood, sausage, and okra. One bowl, and you'll feel like you've stepped into the heart of the South. 30. S'mores, the ultimate campfire treat, actually date back to the early 1920s when they first appeared in a Girl Scouts handbook. Today, it's practically a camping requirement. 31. Here's one to make you smile. The world's largest s'more weighed 267 pounds. That's enough marshmallow goodness to satisfy even the biggest sweet tooth. 32. The American obsession with barbecue is legendary. Whether it's Texas brisket, Memphis ribs, or Carolina pulled pork, BBQ has its own regional varieties, and fierce debates about which one reigns supreme. 33. Did you know that ranch dressing is the most popular salad dressing in the US? It's not just for salads. Americans dip everything from pizza to fries in ranch. There's even ranch-flavored soda. 34. New York City's street food scene is iconic, and hot dogs are king. Nathan's famous hot dog eating contest on Coney Island has been around since 1916, and the current record stands at 76 hot dogs in 10 minutes. That's almost too wild to believe. 35. If you've ever had a Chicago-style hot dog, you know the rule. No ketchup. Traditional toppings include mustard, onions, relish, and a pickle spear. It's a Chicago thing. You either get it or you don't. 36. Popcorn is one of America's favorite snacks, and interestingly, it's been around for thousands of years. Native Americans were popping corn long before movie theaters got in on the action. 37. The state of Nebraska is known as the Corn Husker State for a reason. It produces more popcorn than any other state. So if you love buttery, salty popcorn, you have Nebraska to thank. 38. Potato chips were invented by accident. In 1853, a chef named George Crumb sliced potatoes super thin in response to a customer complaint, and the rest is history. Who knew food complaints could lead to genius snacks? 39th. Fun fact. The average American eats about 6 pounds of potato chips a year. That's a lot of crunch. 40. If you love comfort food, you'll appreciate that casseroles are an American staple, especially around the holidays. Whether it's green bean casserole or sweet potato pie, there's a casserole for every occasion. 41st. A uniquely American Thanksgiving tradition is the turducken, a chicken stuffed inside a duck, which is then stuffed inside a turkey. If one bird wasn't enough, why not three? 42. We can't talk about Thanksgiving without mentioning cranberry sauce. But here's the thing, about 70% of Americans preferred in the shape of the can it came from. Smooth or chunky? What's your style? 43. Blue crabs are a delicacy in Maryland, where crabs are steamed with Old Bay seasoning and cracked open by hand. Crab feasts are a summer tradition, and yes, they're messy, but totally worth it. 44. The first U.S. pizzeria, Lombardi's, opened in New York City in 1905. Over a century later, it's still dishing out coal-fired pies to locals and tourists alike. 45. The first ice cream cone was introduced at the 1904 World's Fair in St. Louis. Before that, people just ate ice cream out of cups. Thank goodness for the cone, right? 46. Americans consume more ice cream than any other country in the world, with vanilla being the most popular flavor. Classic and timeless, but are you a chocolate fan instead? 47. If you're a fan of breakfast, you'll love this. The first ready-to-eat breakfast cereal was Corn Flakes, invented by John Harvey Kellogg in 1894. His goal was to create a healthy, easy-to-digest food. Well, mission accomplished. 48. Milkshakes were originally called wholesome drinks and contained alcohol. It wasn't until the 1930s that they became the sweet, creamy treat we know today. 49. The first fast food chain in America was White Castle, which opened in 1921. Their tiny sliders became so famous that even today, you can buy them frozen at your local grocery store. 50. Speaking of fast food, McDonald's has a worldwide following, but did you know the company sells over 75 hamburgers every second? Let that sink in for a moment. 75 burgers per second. 51. But McDonald's didn't invent the drive-thru. That honor goes to Red's Giant Hamburg in Springfield, Missouri in 1947. It was the first to serve burgers without customers having to leave their cars. 52. In-N-Out Burger has a secret menu that's not so secret anymore. Their animal-style fries, with melted cheese, grilled onions, and special sauce, have become a cult favorite. 53rd. Avocado toast may seem trendy, but avocado itself has been a staple in California cuisine for decades. California grows about 90% of all the avocados in the U.S., so we can thank them for our morning avo smash. 54. The first frozen dinner was introduced in 1954 by the brand Swanson. It was a turkey dinner, and it changed the way busy families approached mealtime forever. Today, the frozen food aisle is an endless landscape of convenience. 55th. Americans are so into hot dogs that there's even a National Hot Dog and Sausage Council. Yes, it's a real thing, and they've even published official hot dog etiquette, like how you should never put ketchup on a hot dog if you're over the age of 18. 56. Ever tried a Frito pie? It's a popular dish in the Southwest made with a bag of Fritos topped with chili, cheese, and onions. Bonus points if you eat it straight out of the chip bag. Less cleanup. 57. Spam isn't just a mystery meat. It's so popular in Hawaii that they even celebrate Spam Jam, a festival dedicated to the canned meat. You'll find Spam sushi, Spam burgers, and Spam musubi all over the islands. 58th. Chili, particularly in Texas, is no joke. In fact, Texas lawmakers made chili the official state dish in 1977. Purists argue that true Texas chili has no beans, just beef, and plenty of spice. Where do you stand on the great bean debate? 59th. Grits, a dish made from ground corn, is a Southern staple. In South Carolina, grits are so loved that they were declared the official state food in 1976. They can be savory or sweet. Just don't confuse them with cream of wheat. 60. Bison burgers are gaining popularity across the U.S. because bison is leaner and healthier than traditional beef. It's often associated with the Great Plains, where bison used to roam freely in massive herds. 61. In the Midwest, fried cheese curds are a must-have, especially in Wisconsin, America's dairyland. These little nuggets of cheese are breaded and fried to perfection. If you haven't had squeaky cheese curds yet, You're missing out. 62. Ever heard of the Juicy Lucy? It's a burger with cheese stuffed inside the patty instead of on top, and it's a Minneapolis specialty. There's even a rivalry between two local restaurants, Matt's Bar and the 5-8 Club, over who invented it. 63. Sourdough bread has a long history in San Francisco, thanks to the city's unique foggy climate, which helps ferment the dough in a way that gives it its distinct tangy flavor. Some bakeries have used the same sourdough starter for over 100 years. 64. The original chocolate chip cookie recipe was created by Ruth Wakefield at the Toll House Inn in Massachusetts in the 1930s. Today, it's the most popular cookie in America. And don't forget the milk for dunking. 65. Hush Puppies, deep-fried cornmeal balls, are a popular side dish in the South, often served with fried catfish. Legend has it that they got their name because hunters and fishermen would toss them to their dogs to hush them during meals. 66. New Orleans is famous for beignets, a type of deep-fried dough covered in powdered sugar. They're best enjoyed with a café au lait at Café du Monde, a city icon since 1862. 67. Key lime pie is a beloved dessert that comes from the Florida Keys. It's made with key limes, which are smaller and more tart than regular limes, and a graham cracker crust. Don't forget the whipped cream. 68th. New York-style cheesecake is dense, creamy, and famous around the world. Its smooth texture comes from using cream cheese as the main ingredient, something that was developed in America in the 1870s. 69. Pecan pie, made with a sticky, sweet filling of pecans and corn syrup, is a Southern classic. It's so beloved that pecans are the official state nut of Alabama. Number 70. Did you know that Alaskan king crab legs are some of the most sought-after seafood in the world? These giant crabs are caught in the icy waters of Alaska, and their sweet, succulent meat is considered a delicacy. 71. Oysters. Rockefeller was invented in New Orleans at Antoine's Restaurant in 1899. The dish is topped with a rich sauce made of butter, herbs, and breadcrumbs, and baked until golden. Fancy, right? 72. Cincinnati chili is a regional dish that's served over spaghetti and topped with cheese, onions, and beans. It's got a unique flavor, thanks to spices like cinnamon and cocoa powder. If you're in Ohio, you have to try it. 73. Whoopie pies are a sweet treat with two cake-like cookies, usually chocolate, and a fluffy cream filling. They're particularly popular in Pennsylvania and Maine, where there's even a debate over which state invented them. 74. In the Pacific Northwest, salmon is a key part of the local cuisine, often smoked or grilled on cedar planks for a rich, woodsy flavor. It's not just a meal, it's a tradition that goes back centuries. 75. Did you know Alaska is home to a delicacy called Eskimo ice cream? Also known as akutak, it's made with a mix of berries, seal oil, and sometimes even reindeer fat. It's a traditional food with deep cultural significance. 76. America has a serious love for bacon. In fact, there's a National Bacon Day, December 30th, dedicated to celebrating this salty, crispy treat. Bacon everything. Burgers, salads, desserts, you name it. 77. Bagels and lox is a classic breakfast combo, especially in New York. The tradition of pairing bagels with cured salmon, lox, came from Jewish immigrants, and it's now a brunch staple across the country. 78. In the Midwest, Jell-O salad is still a popular dish. It's a quirky mix of flavored gelatin and fruit, and sometimes even shredded carrots. It's been a potluck favorite since the 1950s. 79. Chicken fried steak isn't chicken at all. It's a southern dish where a beefsteak is breaded and fried like fried chicken. It's usually served with a hefty helping of creamy gravy. So good, you won't even care that it's a misnomer. 80. Americans love their food festivals. From the Gilroy Garlic Festival in California to the Maine Lobster Festival, there's practically a festival for every food imaginable. What's your favorite festival food? 81. The Reuben sandwich, made with corned beef, sauerkraut, Swiss cheese, and Russian dressing on rye bread, was invented in New York, or was it Omaha? Both cities claim to be the birthplace of this iconic sandwich. 82. Buffalo sauce, the spicy, tangy coating that makes wings irresistible, is named after Buffalo, New York, where it was invented in the 1960s. The original recipe was simply hot sauce and melted butter, and it's been a game day favorite ever since. 83. In the Southwest, you'll find a unique condiment: green chili sauce. New Mexico is particularly known for its hatch chilies, which are used to make this smoky, spicy sauce that's poured over everything from enchiladas to burgers. 84. Shoe-fly pie is a Pennsylvania Dutch dessert made with molasses. It got its name because the sweet, sticky filling would attract flies, which bakers had to shoo away. 85. Salisbury steak, a dish made of seasoned ground beef patties smothered in gravy, was named after Dr. James Salisbury, who believed it was a healthy meal option. It became a popular wartime ration, and later, a frozen dinner staple. 86. Waldorf salad, made with apples, celery, and walnuts in a mayonnaise dressing, was first served at New York's Waldorf Astoria Hotel in 1893. It's the original fancy fruit salad. 87. Ever had a fluffernutter? It's a sandwich made with peanut butter and marshmallow fluff, and it's a favorite in New England. It's the ultimate sweet and salty treat. 88. In Arizona, prickly pear cactus is used to make everything from candy to cocktails. The cactus fruit has a sweet, almost watermelon-like flavor and is a staple of Southwestern cuisine. 89. Molasses cookies, chewy and spiced with ginger and cinnamon, are an old-fashioned favorite in the U.S. They were popular in colonial times because molasses was cheaper than sugar. 90. Chicken wings weren't always a beloved snack. In fact, they were considered a cheap throwaway part of the bird until the 1960s when they were deep-fried and coated in hot sauce, creating the buffalo wing craze. 91. Pastrami on rye is a New York City deli classic. The pastrami is smoked and seasoned to perfection, stacked high between slices of rye bread and slathered with mustard. Simple, but oh so satisfying. 92. In Georgia, peaches are a big deal. They're so famous that the state is known as the Peach State. And let's be real, peach cobbler just hits differently when you're in the South. 93. Cuban sandwiches are a hit in Miami, where Cuban immigrants brought their love for pork, ham, Swiss cheese, pickles, and mustard, all pressed between crispy Cuban bread. 94. Root beer floats, a mix of root beer soda and vanilla ice cream, were invented in the late 1800s. They're still the ultimate nostalgic treat on a hot summer day. 95. The U.S. is the birthplace of soft-serve ice cream, which was developed in the 1930s by Dairy Queen. The key? Air is whipped into the ice cream to make it light, creamy, and oh so addictive. 96. Twinkies were invented in 1930 and originally had a banana-flavored filling. During World War II, a banana shortage led to the switch to vanilla cream, and the rest is history. 97. Chimichangas, deep-fried burritos, are said to have been invented by accident in Arizona when a cook accidentally dropped a burrito into the fryer. Talk about a delicious mistake. 98. Lobster rolls are a New England summer staple, typically served on a buttered, toasted roll with cold lobster salad. If you're ever in Maine, it's practically a requirement to try one. 99. Poutine, a Canadian dish made of fries, cheese curds, and gravy, has made its way to the U.S. and gained quite the following. It's especially popular in places with cold winters where you need something hearty to warm up. 100. Jambalaya is a hearty dish from Louisiana, combining rice, sausage, chicken, and seafood, all seasoned with Cajun spices. It's the ultimate comfort food with a spicy kick. 101. And finally, here's a mind-blowing fact. Apple pie isn't actually American. It's British. But over time, America has claimed it as its own, turning it into a symbol of patriotism. So next time you hear the phrase, "as American as apple pie," remember it's a little more international than you might think. Which fact surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments.